Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. For all the people around the world who are doing the meditation with me, I'm Buddha Maitreya, and we're on location, so we're in process of traveling, and we're not in Shambhala, but we're doing the meditation, and Tara's right here, and we're going to focus on the meditation, do a little teaching. My teaching lasts, I don't know how long, sometimes 15, sometimes 30 minutes. And then we do the meditation, and then I do a little bit more teaching after that. So in order to clarify things that would be helpful for people, all around the world who are in a process of trying to develop their spiritual integration, understanding the soul, and the work that I'm doing is to influence the quality that brings the soul into incarnation. And there's a lot of teaching that goes on in the world that has to do with spirituality and, how the soul may work, or how, a person is spiritual from previous incarnations and they've already got it in them, or, they bypass that and they begin channeling their guides and manifesting, the influence of masters and things of that nature. The process that I'm trying to help people with is that everything is really, truly a very grounded process that has to do with us as a humanity, not channeling, not an influence from masters, not an influence from, channeling angels or the Astral command or some kind of other outside influence that can come through the person and allow them to then share that with people or heal people or represent, whatever it is that they believe that they're channeling. The whole belief system behind channeling, the whole belief system that comes with the theories that bring in channeling comes from, really lower processes where people get involved with Ouija boards, they get involved with astrology, they get involved with all kinds of numerology or, all kinds of things that bring them into a mental way of looking at things, trying to interpret or see the future or see the present situation and identify, how it's going on, or, bring in influences that bring about change. But if you work with things like that, the reality is that it's actually fostering a process that comes from below, that comes from our imperil, that comes from the influence of the glamours that are manifested in the world, that it's those people who are out there doing Ouija boards and tarot and the I Ching and all the different things that are conjuring, the process of manifesting influences, like taking a Ouija board and allowing it to take control of your hands, or automatic writing, all of those different things. They manifest a current of energy. You make yourself available. And in the mind, one's thinking that, this is okay because I'm connecting spirit. I'm connecting the influences that are involved with heaven or involved with the people who are dead, or the influences of spiritual energy, or devas, or whatever you want to call it, in the area, or influenced by previous incarnation of a person, or the influence of guides around a person. But the real truth that comes in my case of teaching that process is that it actually is a process that allows the lower nature of fear, the lower nature of hate, the lower nature gateway that allows the influence to come in. One of the worst ones is Ouija board. The influence of allowing yourself to be under the control of spirit. And when that takes place, you open a gate and it brings into the world, something that wasn't there before you opened that gate. So it's like opening a door, and it's not a little door, it's a very large door. And it allows an influence that comes onto the world that begins inhabiting your fellow humanity. It makes them do all kinds of terrible things. It makes them crazy. It makes them insane. It makes them see objects that don't exist. It makes them have, psychological problems that are, by psychologists and, psychiatrists. They like to name, what it is that, a person in their symptomology is going through. They have really nice names and everything, and it really puts people in this box. But my belief system is that it's actually a part of a process that comes in from the astral plane that leaches, people's influence of lower psychicism and their mind. And it allows the influence to come in where a person could see something that's not there. Where in the higher case, if a person's awakening their soul, which happens through meditation, changing one's bad habits, the influence of being able to gain a little control over your life on a day-to-day basis. And being able to, because every time you do that, you're actually controlling these lower elements that have been let loose onto the planet. And you're being subjected to them. It's in your environment. And as that influence is there, it depends on your past life. It depends on what it is you might have done in your previous life. Maybe you might have done Tarot. Maybe you followed the relationship of some false guru. Maybe you were a part of Bhagwan's group, or maybe you were a part of, some other influence on the planet that made it possible for you to be receptive to these things. So you incarnate with these receptive qualities built into you. And if you look back in the war, you look back at time in history of Hirohito, Germany, Russia, all kinds of places like that. They use and instill a belief system in people that makes them think in certain ways, that allows them to do things that are very self-centered, and they are not there to help society. They're there to control society, and they're locked in to a process of thinking that propaganda is the right thing to do, and that being able to instill fear into people and create communism or create all kinds of different kinds of belief systems. If you go back to Germany, you'll find that they were really the spearhead of the use of things of lower psychic nature, all kinds of mediumship, all kinds of processes to develop their psychic ability to reach into past lives of warriors. The belief that many of the generals in the German reality were reincarnated generals of previous history, and that they would then channel that into their ability in order for them to become better at what they're doing, not be dependent upon, the things that, were available at this moment in time, but actually bringing about a certain energy of response, a certain energy of greed, a certain energy of dictatorship or tyranny that would manifest through their being and keep them in a soulless state, to the point in which they would kill millions of people or thousands of people without any thought, without any consideration of what's going on. And this is the foundation of what comes from using something like a Ouija board. It is not a little thing. It's not something you do in your, on your own in a little room with maybe 2 or 3 people, and you think this is, just a small little process going on. It actually connects into many hundreds of thousands of people on the planet that are receptive to these lower elemental forces that can control their minds, their emotional body, and their physical well-being. It can bring cancer onto the world at a much faster rate. It can bring diabetes and obesity in a much faster rate. It can bring about all kinds of things into the world that pollute the world into a manifestation of possession. People, if we look around us, that is a real problem that we have today, and it comes from our previous lives. It comes from many people being subjected to the process of thinking that there's this belief system, in my belief, in esoteric reality of the 7 rays, and how many of these rays have a very particular role to play in the process of integrating the soul and manifesting the plan. But if you take those same rays, those influences that are built inside of a person, those qualities, those characteristics can be flipped to the opposite side if they're actually manifested in the process of elemental control. And those lower elements is what manifests glamour into the world. So as we look out into the world and we see that on TV and everywhere we look, glamour and money and greed and all the different things that go on, they're all manifested through this process of this pagan reality that is manifested through many tens of thousands of years on the planet. And it's created a doorway, a constant open flood of influences that come from lower elemental forces. I know it sounds like I'm talking about things that are way too, metaphysical and, maybe demonology, that I believe in, or, that these are the forms of processes that affect people. But I'm trying to take it down to a simple connection as to how things actually do manifest. And I'm not jumping into demons and devils and things like that. I'm just talking about the natural influence that comes to change the process of our nature. And those people who choose to use a Ouija board are the most destructive people on the planet. They are people that are without any intention whatsoever, to do harm to other people, are opening a floodgate of influences because they're allowing their actual, what should be their soul, what should be Christ coming through them, allowing them dharma and the activity of being in the right place at the right time, just a natural intuitive influence of moving people into the plan, and where the will of God moves through you. Let my hands be your hands, God. Let my eyes be your eyes, God. That's an influence that happens to us in nature. That's coming from above. That's coming from heaven. It comes from God. So an opposite influence can take place that comes from lower nature. And it's letting your hands be controlled by lower nature. It's letting your eyes be controlled by lower nature. It's letting your influence of being what it is you think you should be doing controlled by lower nature, and it connects on a group level, which on the opposite side, it should be connecting on a group level that has to do with people that are willing to change and make change and are evolutionarily sparks of change in the world that brings about a healing of the planet, brings about, not the fear and the anger and the hostility that you would see in the streets of thousands of people running around saying, oh, why'd you kill this person? Why did the police do this? Why did this event take place in the government? And all these people are so hostile and aggressive. They burn buildings. They tear down, all kinds of houses. They burn cars. They, light trash cans on fire. They make, and they call it a revolution. And that's the elemental force that's coming in, that's come from Ouija board and astrology and the influences where people allow themselves to be open to mediumship. And you're just opening a gate. Some are smaller gates, some are very personal, some are very intimate, and some are very connected, like astrology. It's nothing like a Ouija board. Ouija board literally means that you're literally going to let yourself be the vehicle of expression and allow yourself to be as less than your true self. So your hands are moved in order to allow it to express itself and identify what it is it wants to say. And the mind starts connecting with that and starts thinking the thoughts of what it wants to ask in order to get that answer. And it begins a whole process of opening a gate of a connection between man and the lower world of humanity that has to do with the past and the misuse of psychic energy, the misuse of the will of humanity. Yeah, if you put people into tyranny, you put people into a process to where you have a dictator controlling you, or you have, a slavery going on, and you're working in the South of America, or you have this mindset to where you think people are lesser than what they are, and you have a prejudice mind, you have a biased reality and connection that it's very low and very hate-filled. Yeah, that hate, the energy of hate, comes from a law that's connected with the influence of the elemental forces that move in lower nature, that want to take control of our life, control of our mind, and control of our being, which it has in the past, it has in history. There's always been these reforming processes that would change humanity in their process of belief systems and reality, that allowed to reform those energies, reform those influences, like Pythagoras. Pythagoras was very well awakened human being that looked at the process of geometry, sound, color, was able to see the integration of and understand soul and monad, and was able to see the divine qualities that sit in a dodecahedron, an icosahedron, a pyramid. Yeah, and those influences influenced a better awakening into the understanding, that which became law later due to the law of love, became law in science, became law in the influence of our music, in the influence of many things that we do in life. It all helped to move evolution into the plan, a working out of what it is that nature has to offer, what it is that our earth is about in our divinity. And by doing that sort of thing, rather than trying to work with divining process, thinking that you're divining a process, thinking that you're channeling, a process, or working with a Ouija board, or working with other, pagan type of belief systems, by focusing on something that was simple and in nature. He worked with sound, like with the guitar, created the first guitar in order to manifest the process of those rays. He knew of the 7 rays and the 7 notes and the 7 influences that manifested. So he brought all that into an instrument, and brought that all into the reality of geometry, and into the reality of certain words that wasn't really recognized at that time. It was recognized by Plato with the Platonic solids and all the geometric forms that was going on then, but Plato was also a high being that was working in right nature, under right connections, letting go of pagan thought forms, separation of God, knowing God existed, knowing that there was one God, not under an influence of lower nature, but an awakening process that had to do with the higher evolutionary mind and the higher evolutionary emotions, and seeing the physical world in a higher evolutionary state, of divinity. So each one of these people were able to bring about changes in the world that we now live in. The things that we do today are offered in science, and offered in many ways that bring about those particular understandings. But these processes of the lower pagan nature block all that. It's a veiling process that allows people to go about and build more glamour, and build more influence, build more psychological processes that go on inside their body, that are all elements out of control. It's not a you're possessed kind of thing, but it is a process of the human being that's out of vibrational harmonic response. And as they change, and you can do that through flower essences and homeopathy and other things, you actually treat a person in that way, you'll find that brings a harmonic response to the person, and it influences those elements to a way in which they no longer hold on to the person. It allows the person to become who they are. It allows them to respond to life in a way that it gives them a sense of actuality, an actualization. And in that process, it frees up humanity to make decisions and allow God to come in and create opportunities. And that's revelation. That's a revealing of the process, that there's a plan, and there's a third party, God, that actually is in the influence of manifesting the future. and using the past, and redeeming the past through forgiveness and understanding, compassion that manifest in God. So that's working for us. That's manifesting as a soul, manifested through Christ, manifested through the manifestation that works through the rays, that works through the embodiment of Christ. Takes all of this pagan stuff, all of this Ouija board, astrology, everything, takes all of that and diffuses it, Because there's no belief system inside of Christ that believes in any of that, All the influences of what I'm trying to express, the things that I'm trying to help people understand, is to help to diffuse, help to change that process of ongoing manifestation of these lower elemental forces. So I'm talking to the people right now, people who use a Ouija board, people who have gone to mediums, people who use numerology, people who think, well, I'm Sagittarius, or I'm this or that, or even go to a psychologist and think, well, I'm now been pegged with this particular label. Lighten up, Realize that life is a miracle. And that if you follow a path, if you follow a relationship of looking for the situation that will come at hand, the right doctor, the right chiropractor, the right person who's not involved in that sort of stuff, that actually is free from that and is able to take your case, understand your situation, and help you. Because that's what humanity is about. Humanity has a soulful connection of being a channel of God. St. Francis said, let my hands be your hands, let my eyes be your eyes. It is a process of working out the plan, and it's working out through humanity. It's working out through the process of the influence of time that goes on in the world, the change that manifests in the world, that brings about a revelation, not a revolution. And allows people to have faith in the process of humanity. That humanity itself is here working with Christ, influenced by God in order to bring about a better world. And it's been going on this way for eons of time. But it's been working in very small sections of humanity because the amount of lower astral influences that happen through tyranny and dictators and slavery and all the things of greed and a lack of fortunateness, the process of being able to receive the blessings of God, was so low in the past that nearly every single person was subjected to the process of misfortune. They had circumstances and situations in their family, situations in their school, situations in their job, situations in their personal life, situations in their mind and their actions as to how they behaved. And it would take sometimes all the way through that life to get through all those misfortunate processes in order to realize that it actually comes down to humanity. It comes down to being humane, finding your humane ability to seek out a reason why you're here, and understand that being here is a blessing. It's not a curse. It's not bad. It's not negative, and it's not a channeling. It's not a process of spirit processes that come in to influence you to make a better world, as though you're being guided to manifest things. It happens so subtly. That it happens in a circumstance that seems so, related to the way that you're thinking, because we have precognition. We have in ourselves a sense of slightest influence of lower psychic energy that switches over to intuition and telepathy. That gives us a very subtle influence of precognition. And that allows us, every human being, it allows us to see the process that without knowing it, but see the process in front of us as a working out of something that's answering situations for us, not putting in our face, oh yeah, this is terrible, just like the way it had been for this person or for you, or something like that, because lower nature has a tendency to help us identify with the worst things in the world, with the worst things that happen. And all of a sudden a person thinks and feels that they're, oh, that's just like, Jimmy or whatever, and it literally is nothing more than a similarity of a spin that goes into the left spin that's influenced by these open doors that comes from Ouija boards and lower pagan belief systems and actions in people that open up a psychic bridge that allows it to go out into humanity, out into the world. We used to have all kinds of people in this new age process from the 60s all the way through, now. There are people out there that are doing mediumship and expressing that they have connections with, all kinds of, people who are spiritually evolved and dead, and now they're channeling these influences, Those things are delusionary in themselves, They're not in what is of the grounded truth of what's going on in front of us. So the more that we can just relax and eat well and exercise and do things that allow us to find harmony in life, find a good influence in our daily life, go and get some help, get a little counseling from someone that is more balanced, because you're going to be given opportunities when you have a problem to fix that problem. And if we seek out, the proper methods as to doing something without it being lined up with fear, because fear will put you in a situation to where it disempowers you, and it doesn't allow you to have that revelation, doesn't allow you to connect to the right people in the right circumstance. And over and over and over again, you'll find yourself in a process of actually being disempowered. And that leads to an enormous sense of injustice inside yourself in a subconscious way. So you can look out into the world of thinking that this world is unjust and people need to be tolerated as they're psychologically so imbalanced in their life expression that lower subconscious process that builds up our injustice of being disempowered, gives us no influence of understanding, no influence of strength, no influence of ability of being able to see and reveal that, oh my God, there's a lot of psychological problems out in the world. And these people are not balanced. These people are not something to follow. This circumstance of going to all these major football games and basketball games and everything is really not something that's that balanced. It's not bringing out in a person, a good life, a good prosperous reality in their life. It's dragging them through one day after another, after another, after another, and a habitual pattern that wastes their life. And that influences more that subconscious realm inside of every human being of thinking that God is dead, there may be no God, and that the world is under the influence of, just, greed or whatever you want to do because you only have one life. Those kind of processes lead us to be unaware of the reality of our reincarnation process, unaware of our reality of the influences that are happening in the world that are actually bettering the world. It leads us to think, and go along with thinking that, there are spiritual people out there that are supposedly incarnations of Buddha, or supposedly incarnations of avatars, or supposedly incarnations of different manifestations in the higher realms of what we believe to be going on in the world. And we do not have the ability to discern and discriminate under those influences. We are not in a process in our humanity to where there are that many people that are incarnated who are incarnations of Buddha. It's just we are not evolved in that process in the world. But yet in Tibetan Buddhism or in India and other places, there are enormous numbers of people that are under the influence of thinking that that's the process that goes on. Whether it be Sai Baba, people thinking that this person, because he's saying this and he's doing all these things and manifesting physical objects and doing all these delusionary things, that because our process is unable to discern, discriminate, and see the truth and understand, and have the opening from our own heart rather than thinking, oh, that's higher than me. I've got to just, go along with this. And those magical influences, those things that they do in their little sideshow of doing magic and performing metaphysical situations, is nothing more than to gather you into a belief system of, being able to identify with that person as being superior. Having abilities that are godlike, and those are not godlike abilities. Manifesting objects is not a godlike ability. Levitation is not a godlike ability. There's all kinds of gurus out there that told people, you do this, you pay me $10,000 and I'll teach you how to, meditate and, jump up and down and, literally levitate. You will dematerialize, you will walk through walls, you will have these powers that will beyond all humanity. You'll be a superhuman being, And yet absolutely no one who took those courses and meditated for 20 or 30 years came out to be able to do any of that, simply because it is not under the design process of God's creation. It's just not there, But when people rewrite history and say Jesus walked on water, manifested bread, brought about fish, and all these things, then people can then go, well, look, Jesus did it, or look, supposedly some other miracle was happening by some great being, in history, like Krishna, and all the things they say that happened with Krishna. The truth is that every single process, the reason why Jesus went on a cross is because Jesus was so normal. And yet he is who he was. His process of being the real avatar, being the real person who really was there to show the way and express the virtues and express the kindness and understanding of average everyday person, and allowing them to redeem themselves in understanding other people and forgive other people. Don't hold prejudice. Don't hold processes of, hate and, misunderstanding. Understand that, you've done things too, and everybody has done things. There's all kinds of ways to looking at life, but to add the third party, God, and to understand that God is there to forgive you and to give you the blessing of being able to redeem yourself in the process of accepting that third party, that influence of God. That's what Jesus was about. It wasn't about magic or anything like that. If you continue reading the Bible, you'll see that in the Bible it says that Jesus went off 40 days into the desert and came across the devil. And the devil actually asked Jesus to do these things, manifest this, do this, jump off this cliff and live. You're immortal. All those things, Jesus said, no, I won't and I can't. They are not a part of me, and they're not things that I can do because I'm with God. I can only do what God allows. And God allows things that happen to mortal man. It allows things to happen on day-to-day reality. He can walk, he can eat, he can sleep, everything. He can cry, he can feel the emotions of need and the suffering of other people. He's not above it. He's not separate from it. All those things are felt in everyone. Everybody has those normal experiences. And that's what Jesus was about. He was about the process that there is a devil. There is a process of lower elemental nature that wants one to think under delusions of grandeur that these things are possible. These things are things that you should be doing, and they're really not. We may come to a time to where we're able to understand and see and have certain psychic metaphysical abilities, certain gifts, but they will be limited to a point to where it will be a common reality for humanity to take up, not individuals that have extreme superiority and manifestation, but it'll be something that will be expressed through all of humanity as more of a clearing of the mind, more an opening of the heart, more a relationship of being able to see things in a universal way so that we can better understand and cooperate and do something that can make a change in the world rather than this delusionary process that makes us separate. It's that influence of separation that comes from these elementals, this lower process of these gates that get opened in humanity. It creates separation that allows people to think in their own individual little thing, that they're all alone in their own little body. Even if they're with someone, even if they have loved ones, even if they're in the right place and a wonderful job. But inside them, they've lost their faith. They've lost their connection to see those things and to be able to live within the world of experiencing those things with peace and understanding, that they're connected. They can't see outside themselves. They're involved in an inner self that goes with chaos and confusion and misunderstanding and separation. Yeah? And it's that separation that causes the suffering in the world. Yeah? Separately thinking that, oh, I'm it, I'm the everything that, that I can be, and, like a Kardashian or some other person, or you get to a delusion of glamour to where they actually believe, that they are something of superior quality. And that expresses out to humanity, and that takes on, because of these rays, it takes on an influence inside of people, because their process is involutionary. Their process is that they don't identify with the truth of higher understanding. So they're open to the influence of disempowering themselves and giving another person power. Yeah? I'm totally not into that. I'm not into taking disciples. I'm not into taking, people into believing that, this is the way things are. And that, even myself, I'm about as common and as normal and average as any human being could ever be. Yeah? Yet I'm Christ. Yeah? Yet I'm the incarnation of the avatar. And that could be very confusing to people with expectations of thinking that I'm going to do all these supernatural things. I have the influence of helping God manifest into the world. I have the influence of being able to allow your hands to be the hands of God, your eyes to be the eyes of God. But I'm only because that is the way I am. Yeah, that is the way it influences me. So that just radiates out. And if you're susceptible to that, and you come in contact with my tools, and you come in contact with meditation, you meditate with me, you do a darshan with me, I can hit and trigger things that are inside of you that need to have a re-evaluation, need to have a new connection into the world, new connection into yourself and the outer world that you experience. And let the connection come together with the third party coming in. Let it come in, yeah? Let God come into your life, yeah? Let God allow you to change the things that happen in the world, yeah? But it's not through some metaphysical act, yeah? It's not through you conjuring up a ceremony around something. That's why when I put the etheric weaver out, I ask people, do not think, do not try and heal a person, yeah? Do not try and think, oh, I'm going to go to this chakra and open the chakra up, and bring this person into a state of enlightenment. Allow these angels to manifest around this person, because I have that connection in the world. Please don't do that. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to know that it's a part of the third party reality. It's a part of God. And God permeates everything. God is influence on all levels of creation and all levels of life. God is the tree of life. God is life force. God is the very influence of our spirit, of spirituality. Yeah? It has nothing to do with the channeling of a master, or the influence of the Dalai Lama, or the influence of anything else, or even the influence of me. It has to do with God. It has to do with how God permeates everything in nature. Yeah? So if we use the tools that I'm using, use the things that I'm bringing together, and I'm this way, I'm not egotistical, I'm not, I don't have any glamours in me, yeah, I'm honest to God, I really don't. And the influences that I live in are the influences of living as a normal human being, as humble as God makes it, yeah, as normal as God makes it in every daily life, yeah. And all I want out of life is for things to be in order. Things to be in right relationship, things to be working in a way that allows things to move forward, and every single person to allow the working out and the healing of their personality and their soul. Yeah? Rents happen in the personality. Things happen in your life as a child. Things happen in your life from previous lives. All I want to do is help heal those things by bringing God in, and slowly but surely, through your own choices, not by me, but through your own choices, under the influence of God coming into your life, you and God make a closer and closer relationship. And you become a child of God. You become as beautiful as you're meant to be. You become as angelic as you're meant to be. Every living human being is a manifestation of heaven. Every animal is a manifestation of heaven. Everything, every plant, every object that expresses in life is a manifestation of heaven. Think of this as a dream, and that it's all in God's dream. Yeah? And that we have the ability to influence the astral plane and Ouija boards and things like that. Our influence of the astral plane that layers over God's dream. Yeah? And we bring about all kinds of chaos and confusion and disruption and disorder and wrong relationships and things that don't get worked out and things that just continue on in their process of daily illusion and delusion and confusion. Yeah, which leads to suffering and disease and death. Yeah, a process of life that we need to eliminate. Yeah, and we can do that. We can live through an entire life. Yeah, from the time we're born all the way through our life, we can live through that life, and that life can be moved through that third-party influence to where we're free of those lower elemental forces from previous life, and that's what Christ brings. Christ brings the renewal, the redemption of our life. And it comes from the tree of knowledge, comes from, excuse me, I'm a little process in my throat, yeah? But it comes from the process of previous lives and the process of what happened 1 week ago, 1 year ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever length of time you've been living on this earth. Those add up, that energy builds up into a manifestation of how things are patterned in your life. Yeah? And without the third party, and I'm not talking religion, I'm not talking, some kind of supernatural process. I'm talking something very natural, something that really is just normal. And it will happen for every single person. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama who's confused because he was born, he was chosen to be the Dalai Lama, he's put on a throne. All from childhood, he was moved into this process. So he really doesn't have any control over the way he thinks and what he does and how he does what he does. Yeah? But there needs to be a redemption process that frees people up into the world, that allows them to come into the world and receive the one. Yeah? Receive the influence of the incarnation of the avatar, rather than blocking and veiling the avatar. All these people in these high spiritual supposed scenarios, none of them have the telepathic, well, very few, have the telepathic perception of being able to witness the incarnation of the avatar. I had High Lamas come to my house when I was 9. They said, this is Buddha Maitreya, he's the Messiah, blew the minds of my parents, scared the crap out of me, But so that means that there are those out there somewhere in this world that have that telepathic connection through the third party to know that there really is the energy and the influence and the incarnation of the Christ. And they were there to help support that. So all through my life, I've had that support. All through my life, I've had that without it being directly influencing me directly, by having them around me or telling me anything or, making anything through a support system on a physical level. But there has been that support for me, and that's very different than everybody else, So I've really been helped out through my life, yeah? And, I know that that's going to be externalized in a much bigger way. And it's my job to help externalize that by redeeming humanity through the process of being supported in their process of healing themselves from the rents that have manifested through people who are doing Ouija and doing these pagan acts that are actually encompassing the world, in people on their daily lives to try and move forward. And they get this lower psychic energy that comes into their world that's chaotic, disruptive, and actually devitalizing. And it keeps them from their manifestation of their soul and their loved ones and the people that they should be with or even be alone to find themselves so that they can find themselves in a world that they love, in a world that they appreciate, in a life that they really do enjoy and appreciate, and have it be a rebirth like almost every 10 years. In the nature of the human being, things should change. Yeah? things should change very much. We should be into something, have things going on in our lives, like 10 years ago, and then many things should happen throughout your life that manifest your ability to go, wow, I'm going to do this, I want to do that, this opportunity's come, I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to change my life. I'm willing to move on into a new thing that I need to do, that connects me with the world that I need to be in, the kind of world that I need to live in. Yeah, that's what changes the world. People who take jobs that manifest change in the world, people who go about leaving jobs and circumstances and situations that help to manifest a more open heart in themselves rather than this obligation of being disempowered and feeling that they need to continue on in that process and be stuck for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, doing the same thing, never changing, always doing the same thing. And that creates an enormous devaluing quality in the evolution of the plan and manifesting into the world, yeah? So there are changes taking place. So obviously there are people who are going through change, and obviously there is a large influence inside of people that are being influenced by the third party. And the more and more that my work becomes involved in humanity's externalization of this influence, the quicker this will happen. Yeah? So that's why I'm doing the meditation. That's why all people around the world are attracted to be in this meditation with me today. And I really, really respect their choice to come into that reality. They're not being, pushed into it. This isn't a church or anything like that. It's just me, and I've got my tools, and I do what I do, and they do miraculous changes in people's lives. But what they do is that they bring about peace. They bring about calmness. They bring about what used to be chaos into a balanced, orderly life. Yeah, they save people, from their life that they've been in that has been constructed in such a way, caused by these elements, by these people who do Ouija boards. Yeah, so you are completely innocent. All of humanity is innocent. There's just these small groups of people that choose to be moved by this lower elemental, lower psychic belief system that actually opens the gate and harms humanity to the greatest extent than anybody could ever imagine. If you look at Hitler, you'll find that Hitler focused on the Ouija board, focused on astrology, focused on channeling, focused on the process of, channeling beings from other incarnations or manifestations of generals or manifestations of all these different things, and went to Tibet in order to learn and develop more of that. And he was going around all over the world trying to find that particular new race of people that would be manifested into being superhuman beings. Yeah? And in doing that, his whole focus was to do this by psychic channeling, by mediumship, by controlling other people. That moved on to Russia, where Russia uses this process of psychicism in order to have a controlling psychic influence, that a person sits as the controller, as the person who's psychic, who projects into another person, making them think, I need to get up and go pick up this car, go play with it, do something. But actually it's in the will of the person who is the controller. And the person who's the receiver is the person who has very little control over their being, very little process of, what's going on between them and the third party. But yet, by nature, they're there to receive the blessing of the third party, but that's disconnected. So now they're more receptive because their belief system is that this can happen. So in Russia, they have people who actually have shown that they can move objects. Excuse me. But when they actually study that and research it, they find that, my God, they're nothing more than magicians. They actually use thin thread. They did this and that, and there might have been just 1 out of 1,000 of those people who had that ability. And when they did have that ability, it caused insanity in that person who did it. Study it. Yeah, study what I'm telling you, and you'll find that it's true. And that in Russia, they focus on psychometry in order to move and control the movement of objects. And they have large numbers of people who sit as mediums, as controllers, moving towards societies in order to create the delusionary processes inside of them that manifest as chaos, that manifests as the lack of ability to love another person, to go to the right place, to be in the right place. It manifests what's in the esoteric belief system of the rays, a strong 6-ray influence inside their body, their mind, and their emotions. And if you look at the Bible, 666 is not a good number. Yeah? And that's the influence that comes from this Ouija board and all these psychic astral influences that are sciences, quasi-sciences that open the gate into influence, and it leads into people their influence of 666. Yeah? The stronger influence of 6th ray in their physical body. Why is there so many people that have diabetes? Why is there so many people that overeat? Why is there so many people choosing the wrong thing and living a very, a life that they don't have any activity? They give up all their activity watching football games, yeah? Or they do things that, is, overly aggressive, yeah? They want to jump out of planes and, jump off rocks and, do skydiving in the craziest ass way and, do all these things, but it's 6th ray. It has nothing to do with any of the rays. It has to do with only that one ray. And then emotionally, they're set in a place to where they're so self-centered that they really feel the need to do it. They have to do it. They're emotionally bound by it. And then in their mind, it's the same way. They have a strong 6-ray influence. They may not be born with those rays as their mental body ray or their influence of their soul, the influence of their personality. If you study esoteric psychology and esoteric understanding of the rays, you'll see that there are certain rays that actually incarnate in people. Yeah, and not that many people have, so many 6 rays in their vehicle, but outside environmental influences are stronger than the rays that you are incarnated with. It's those outside influences, yeah, psychometry, that's a Ouija board. That's where you're moving the Ouija board around. That's psychometry. When you open the gate into that process, you're opening the process of flooding in the influence to allow those elements out, to bring about more 6th ray into humanity. And it makes people very aggressive to make changes in things, yeah? We can all change, whether or not, there are bad foods in the market, whether or not sugar is provided in the market, whether or not, any place is provided, what cars are provided, anything is provided, just simply by us making choices. By us, humanity, making choices that come from our heart, not from our solar plex. Yeah? As a unified relationship of brotherhood and sisterhood, we see things from our heart, and we don't really want things that are wrong. We don't need things that are not appropriate. Yeah? And it makes us happier. They're actually better things, they're tastier things, they're more fun things. Yeah? And it really connects us into life of joy and happiness and furthering of brotherhood and fellowship. Yeah, it's all there for us in our heart, but it requires us and all of humanity, those people who are doing Ouija boards, take that Ouija board, break it in half, and throw it away. Don't throw it in the trash because it will cause someone to find it. Destroy it. Get rid of the things that you're doing that has anything to do with that lower psychic nature. Get rid of it. Get it out of your life. Yeah, and you'll find that you have things inside of you that force you to want to do that, and you will find chaos and all kinds of emotional distress and other things come up in your life because it wants you to continue the process of opening that door. Yeah, but live through it. Get through that process. Take your flower essences, do your meditations, hold your vajra, wear your etheric weaver, live another day. Yeah, and you'll find that it just slowly goes away in time. Yeah? Because Christ is blessing this world on a daily basis through the tree of life, through life itself, through the life essence that keeps your heart beating, through the process that keeps all life going in our life. Yeah? If we think of this as a dream, just imagine that we are in a world that's created by God. This whole thing is a manifestation of God's mind. Yeah? God wills this to be what it is. God wills every atom to be in place. God wills everything into its connection. Yeah? So if we just move in right order like this, and we move up into the heart and manifest into the heart, we'll see that in the heart we find that we can let go. We can be receptive. Yeah? we can allow change to take place, and we move through changes of evolution in our lives in a very graceful way. The more we do it, the better it gets, yeah? Letting go of bad relationships, letting go of obstacles that go on in our daily life, yeah? Rather than having something inside of us in that sixth ray, feeling that we have to do it, feeling that we're afraid of what would be the change. I'll probably make a bad decision. I probably can't do this. So people just give up. They don't even bother to try. They just give up, yeah? Let yourself move through the heart and realize that it's in that heart that gives you the strength and courage to make that change. And it's also in the heart. When the heart is weakened, it makes it impossible for you to make that change because you get insecure, yeah? Your energy of yourself becomes weakened self, yeah? Your low self-esteem, things like that come up, yeah? So that's what pulls you down, this influence of that sixth ray. If it's pounding inside your activities, it's pounding inside your mind, the way you look at life and how you're afraid and how you identify with things, and you, rather than discriminate, it's constantly discriminate, yeah? And that's a sixth ray thing. The energy of the heart has to do with discrimination. Both things, both of them, simultaneously together. They're working through love and wisdom. The mind is in the heart. The heart is in the mind. Those two places is where the soul sits, yeah? So it's in the process of why I'm teaching what I'm teaching, in order to reach your mind, to reach this universal connection of what we really truly understand. But there are those people out there that are still doing Ouija, and I'm saying this so that they will stop it, yeah? One person doing Ouija affects tens of thousands, if not millions of people every time they do it, and it does it in the most harmful way on earth. So all these things, I'm not going to make a list of every single one of them, but you should be able to begin to discern and discriminate what those things are, and it will come to you naturally. That's what your heart will do. Your heart has understanding, it has intuition, it has wisdom, and it has love. And it will pour forth an ability for you to go, wow, this is revealing. Yeah, this is something that I did not know, and now I do understand. And because of that understanding, it gives you the strength and the courage to let go. Yeah. So that's my little spill for that teaching. Yeah. So we're going to move on to meditation. So in meditation, we're focusing on the breath. And the reason why I focus on the breath is because it has to do with a quality that comes in from the influence of vitality that sits in the world. Yeah, that third party is sparking. It has an initiating quality. It initiates our ability to love, to create, to give, to share, to care. Yeah, that influence is in the breath. That influence is in the reality of what comes through all matter around us. But the subtlest part of matter is in oxygen. Yeah, if you look in physics, you'll see that there is an empty space between everything, and that empty space, it covers more of real matter, real reality of what we see. We look out and we look at trees, and we look at flowers, and we look at all of that, and we go, whoa, there is such a material world. But in reality, the world is based on empty space. There is this infinite amount of empty space, and material world is but small in relationship to that empty space. Yeah? So that quality is sitting there when we go down into the breath. Yeah? We connect to that empty space. We connect to that infinite reality, that universal connection of infinity. We connect to a universal connection of consciousness that connects all things together, that brings things into a unified field that begins making what we are seeing, what we are doing in the world, a connection to our heart. Because that's where God sits. God sits in that process of that second ray, that energy of love, wisdom. All the rays express and manifest out of that one ray. Yeah? We can think that there's 7 rays and each one has, an equal process of influence into the world. But the truth is that it's only love that holds everything into its real reality. And out of love is the manifestation of these rays. Yeah? So they're all aspects and attributes. They all come out of that second ray. So when we're doing this meditation, we focus on the breath, we're actually focusing on right here. And when we're focusing, we have two lungs, and they're manifesting right here. And we're filling our heart up with the influence of that oxygen, and it's manifesting prana, the influence of vitality, yeah? A metaphysical energy that's manifested in that empty space, yeah? And in that empty space is also consciousness. Yeah, it's part of a process of inner light that sits inside material things that are actually generated through the vital force that actually sparks the manifestation of a chicken being a chicken and a cow being a cow. There's individuality in everything. Think about that. In individuality, how can that happen? Yeah, Darwinism is a real interesting theory, but holy moly, the relationship of individuality is God created. And it goes all the way back to divine little tiny elements, yeah? And those elements are sparked in the breath. They're sparked in the process of us breathing. And if we take that oxygen in and we relax ourselves, our mind relaxes and we let it go. We let go what's going on in the mind. We're just breathing. We're just taking a deep breath and all the way down, going down deep into the lowest part of our lungs, focusing our breath down into our abdomen, yeah? And we want to do it for around 10 seconds, and 10 seconds is not a long time, yeah? But it's the perfect amount of time for us to connect and synchronize with time. If we do 10 seconds, we're focusing on the reality of that 60 seconds and 60 minutes, yeah? And everything works within those frequencies of connections of reality in time. Yeah? So we're allowing ourselves to connect into the rhythm that goes with time. Yeah? So I'm automatic when I do my meditation. I only do 10 seconds. Yeah? I'll breathe in for exactly 10 seconds and then I'll do the Om. And I do that intuitively. I don't count, but I know intuitively I'm breathing out approximately the same amount of time that I breathe in. So when you're breathing out, you're going to do the Om. And when you do the Om, you're doing a word that is so sacred and divine that sets us in motion with that empty space and what's inside of every atom, yeah? Which is the consciousness of our soul, the monad, and physical reality, the ashram. Yeah? So it gives everything divinity. It allows everything to surface in divinity. And we have this strong capability of helping God manifest divinity in matter. We can manifest imperil into matter. We can manifest dark energy and cloud energy into everything, making it so material that it's inert. It just is, yeah? Nothing really is a part of it. It doesn't vitalize you. It doesn't send out a force of energy that, shocks you into an awakening revelation, spiritual divinity when you sit down on a couch, or when you sit in your car, or when you take out a coin or a dollar or something like that. But it should. Every single thing should have divinity locked into it, yeah? So every single thing that we do and every single thing we touch and every single thing we look at, it moves us into the plan. It moves us into a connection between that third party, God being the creator, that we live in a dream, yeah? And we are just in that dream of God's creation, yeah? And that process of our nature that comes with doing the Om brings about our interconnective process of co-creation. It allows us to co-create with the divine word that brings about the influence of divinity into vitality that manifests into matter. Yeah? So that's what you're doing. When you're doing the Om, you're sitting in meditation, you want divinity to manifest into your body. You want divinity to manifest into your emotions and in your mind. You want to be more divine. You want to see more divinity in the world. Yeah? This is a locked-in science that has been going on for a long time. As Babaji, I did this for 2,500 years, yeah? And I lived for 2,500 years because of it, yeah? I took that breath and I meditated for enormous amounts of time, but I also lived a normal life, yeah? I walked around in cities, I walked around and no one knew who I was. I didn't have any special, presentation, I didn't present myself as anything and no one saw anything that was anything different than a normal person, other than the fact that there was an enormous spiritual radiation coming off of me. And by having contact with me, talking to me for any length of time, it created a shift in that person's life forever. Yeah? And that's how this world works, is when the avatar is manifested, there is a divine spark that sits in the avatar, and that is the Om. So when we do the Om, we're connecting to the one teacher, yeah? We're connecting to the Messiah, we're connecting to the influence of Christ, we're connecting to Buddha, we're connecting to Babaji, we're connecting to the influence where Christ and the Father are one. And that influence that comes in is that when we manifest, it is a divine reality of our reincarnation. It's under the purpose of God that creates this metaphysical reality of reincarnating. You cannot think that there's no God when you reincarnate. Yeah? It just is so metaphysical, it's crazy. Yeah? You just got to consider this, because it's true. Reincarnation is a fact. And when we take that fact in, then we have to take in the fact that there is a God. And God, when we die, we go back inside of God. We become one with God, yeah? And we manifest in God, and we come back out of God, and God puts us back into a body, and we manifest into God's dream, which is called a Leela. And that manifests into an ongoing evolutionary process that strives to counteract the processes of lower nature that goes on in the world. Yeah? So by doing the Om and manifesting a meditation with me, it brings about this in a much quicker way. Yeah? We're doing this as a group all around the world. So just imagine what that's doing, how that affects the rest of the world. Imagine if Babaji had the ability to sit in a virtual reality and sit and meditate with people, and yet he only was able to meet maybe 10, 12, 13 people at a time, having small manifestations and meditate for long periods of time, manifest out into a world, but that would be blessings that people would have to take up in the process of their life. Like the creating of new technologies and all the advancements in the world, all came from the meditations of Babaji, every single one. The understanding of physics, the understanding of the electron, everything that moved us into everything in the world, all came from Babaji's meditations. All came from the incarnations of the emanations of Babaji during the time of that incarnation, whether it be Jesus or Buddha or many other incarnations. These are all manifestations of many emanations that manifest from the One. Yeah? That is part of God's reality. We all understand that we reincarnate, but in Babaji's case, it's a very big metaphysical reality that manifests in ways that are transcendental and beyond time and space. So I just want you to understand your own little quantum reality of reincarnation and what part you play in this process of being able to change the world along with the avatar. Yeah? So my teachings are much different than the Dalai Lama or the Pope, and I'm really very clear and very specific, and you can study anything that I'm saying, you'll find it to be true. I recommend it. I recommend it for you to look into it. But do whatever you can to get rid of your Ouija boards. Yeah? So in our meditation, we're going to focus on the Om. We're going to say two kinds of Om. We're going to do Om. That's A-U-M. We're simply doing the sounds of A-U-M. We're going to do that 3 times. Yeah? Just Om. Yeah? And then we're going to do Om, which is the O-M. Om. Yeah? O-M. Yeah? The reason why I do the Om, and a lot of people like to do the Om because there's a lot of books out there that say it's best to do Om, best to do this, best to do that. But in my own life, as Babaji and as many other incarnations where I started Sanatana Dharma, and many of you never heard of such things, but these are the truth of history of the avatar. And in all my incarnations like that, I have always settled in to the process of saying the Om in O-M. Yeah? Because it resonates with me. It resonates, yeah? It resonates with the spark that comes with the incarnation of divinity, yeah? And Om resonates with the outer world manifestation that is already manifested, yeah? But we're working with the spark of divinity that comes with your incarnation. So I want to awaken the spark of divinity that's inside your incarnation that needs you to integrate with your soul. It needs you to connect your divine reason and purpose for being incarnated and for it to manifest deeply inside your cells, inside the atoms in your body, so that in all your future incarnations, you will be incarnated with the ability to witness, see, and experience the Christ, the Avatar, in every incarnation. There will not be anything that you won't be able to do that will be in process of manifesting to be in relationship to the Christ. The world will be in a place, you will be in a place of knowing and recognizing and looking at the process of knowing that the Christ physically reincarnates, as do you, because you are divinely impressed in the same way Christ is, so it's like a similar. And it helps you connect as a student of the Christ, whether it be Babaji or any of my previous incarnations. There's a long lineage that helps you in all my previous lives to work out your previous lives. And as I do this, and I'm staying in right relationship to all my previous lives, it can connect you to all your previous lives for thousands of years. Yeah? Jesus went to India, Jesus went to Srinagar, Jesus went to all these places, and he focused on Shiva. And during that time, it was always Om Namah Shivaya. Om, not Aum, but Om, yeah? And he focused on that reality of what he was taught, what he attuned to, and it awakened him to not be influenced by the environmental process of his mother or his father or cousins, his aunts, his uncles, the place that he was born. All those things were released from him, allowing him to recapitulate his divinity in his lineage, which brought him the person that you understand to be, when he was only 33. So I'm trying to do that for you. I'm trying to help you manifest in that way. So we're going to do the Om, yeah? And that Om is going to go for 20 minutes. And we're going to focus that Om by doing a 10-minute deep breath in, a 10-second deep breath in and a 10-second breath out with the Om. And before we start the Om, we're going to do 3 Oms of Aum, which is blessing to all material manifestation that God has created. Yeah? Then Om, blessing to yourself within God's creation through reincarnation. Yeah? Because you don't see trees reincarnating. You don't see, we are blessed in the process of reincarnation. We carry the spark of the soul. We carry the ability to in-house the expression of the monad with consciousness and understanding. We can witness God. We can unveil God's presence on earth and in creation, not being something outside because we do not have the ability to witness it or see it, but we actually can live within Dharma, be in the embodiment of Sangha, and actually realize Buddha's externalization and manifestation, because you are the manifestation of the Sangha that comes from the Dharma that is willed through the emanation and manifestation and incarnations of consistency through the Buddha. Yeah. So we're not talking a religion, we're talking the truth in the reality of incarnation. And that's the way it is for the Avatar. And in your case, it's the way it is for your awakening into the Dharma. So we'll do the Om for 20 minutes. And then the science that I work with in redemption is a science of redemption that works with invocation, evocation. So I put all these CDs out. Person who buys a Vajra, a person who buys a set of etheric weavers, or you get even one etheric weaver, you can choose which CD you get, or sometimes we just send a CD to you with that etheric weaver. You should listen to that CD. It's not, you should just hold that etheric weaver, put it in your drawer, or have it in your purse, or in your pocket, or hang it in your windshield, or something like that. But you should have that CD and listen to that CD, because it's my words. And I'm doing an invocation that is there to free you and help you recapitulate your purpose for being here. And it will straighten out all your relationships in life. because we all live in divinity with the third party. And in the CD, it includes the third party. It's all about connecting to the third party. Third party's God, yeah? And that relationship of God is an infinite reality that is something we can't see or verify, and we don't get any kind of, actual verification from God in order to make sure that we understand God exists. So we need invocation, evocation. We need a clarity of being able to awaken ourselves in more purity and heal ourselves from the people who do Ouija boards and things like that, and help protect ourselves in the process of our daily life, the workplace that we're in, the relationships that we're in, the process of our family, our relationships to reincarnation. All of that encompasses us, and we're very innocent in our own process of being able to live and work out our lives. So the CD is there in order to include you in the Sangha that manifests as the Dharma, the Buddha, and the relationship to the Sangha. So it's the Buddha manifesting the Dharma and manifesting into the Sangha. And the Sangha is the blessing energy that comes from Buddha's consciousness awakening Buddha nature. So when you listen to the CDs and you're working with the tools, you're actually touching the Christ. You're actually connecting to the Christ, because the Christ actually creates every single and designs and has the manifestation process of blessing every single one of those tools that go out. So you're actually receiving a divine process of energy that goes into the tool. The same happens with the CD. It's my words, it was done in spontaneity, and it is ceremonial magic. Yeah? It's there as a form of divine, magical influence of the highest level of initiation manifested on this planet. So it allows you to come in contact with the Christ sitting on the throne, manifesting a ceremony that is going into the world, and it's for you to listen to, in a very common way, not in some religious, light a candle, get the incense out, do all that kind of stuff. Just sit and listen to it. Put it in your car, listen to it. Listen to it while you're sleeping, but let it into your life. And if you can take all the CDs, you'll find that they actually educate you into the process of esoteric law, allowing you to be wiser and clearer and more divine in relationship of your mind. Your mind starts to integrate and interpret those relationships that are in a subconscious way, superconscious. Yeah? So it allows you to be influenced by the superconscious understanding that I have as to the reason why I could say these words with great understanding, with great perfection of the influence of being able to say what I'm saying and understand what I'm saying. Yeah? Invocation, evocation means that it evokes within you the equal ability to understand that. That's why when I put out a vajra or a geometric form, when you look at it, you automatically go, wow, there's something about this. I might have dreamed it. I might have automatically been thinking about such things, or I'm so attracted to it. It makes me really feel I want it. I want to hold this. I want to be a part of the energy that's influenced in this. And that's because we have divinity in us. We have that super consciousness that sits in Christ. Yeah? I am much more evolved, but I'm a brother who's connected in your relationship of incarnation in this world, and everything that I'm sharing is to bring you into the light of the great white brotherhood and sisterhood that manifest in the evolution of our plan. Yeah? So listen to the CDs. Yeah? So one of the CDs has a small invocation in it. That is the invocation of the ashram. Yeah? It's the invocation of, I invoke the power, the love, the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. We're going to say that invocation together in the process, right after we do the Aum and the Om. We do this invocation. I will say the first sentence, I invoke the power, the love, the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. Then you repeat that. You say it. Yeah? And I'll be silent. And then I'll say the next one. Yeah? To guide me. Yeah? And then the process to heal, and then the process to one thing after another. Every sentence that I say is one for you to repeat. And what we're doing is that we're actually invoking a process of awakening that energy inside of us that that can throw off this energy of that sixth ray, that energy that's coming from the Ouija board, opening of the gates and influences into the world. It can throw it off and dispel the glamour that sits inside of you. Yeah? It can protect you from the process of people who are in that influence in the world that are projecting that out into the world. Yeah? Any glamour and all glamours that go out into the world affects humanity when they're in that weaker state. So all these invocations are to help us find the ashram, yeah? And the ashram is the reality of divinity in the world that we're all going to move into throughout the next hundreds of years. Every year, every single year, we are going to awaken more and more and more into the fact that this is under a divine plan and it's working out and it's saving us, yeah? That we don't have to picket for ecology. We don't have to do all these riots and everything. We need to support our consciousness and make changes in our active daily life and choose not to buy those things. Choose not to eat those things. And our fellow brother and sister and everybody else will follow along. Yeah? They will see the consciousness, they will feel it, they will get the radiation coming from you because that's what happens in our heart. Our heart is connected to every living thing. Yeah? And we have to trust in that kind of connection. We have to trust in that. Yeah? So that's what we're going to invoke. We invoke that, and then right after that, we get silent just for about a half a minute, and then we begin the Om. And we do the Om for 20 minutes, and I will be the one who watches the clock. I'll be the one who knows when we're at the end of the 20 minutes, and I'll say 2 minutes. And at that time, it's silent again, but you keep your breath going. You keep focusing on your breath, and you keep it going in deep and breathing out, but you're not doing the Om. You'll do that just for that 2-minute period of time, and then we're going to turn the track on. And it's going to be one of the tracks of the CD that I made that is the process of becoming destiny. Yeah? And it helps us in a meditation of being able to visualize subconsciously the process of dispelling world glamour, yeah? And that we have the power to do this. We are the ones that's going to make this into a manifestation. Yeah? So that process of just sitting and listening and keeping your breath going, and it's part of the process of invocation, evocation. So as a group of all the people out in the world today that are in this meditation, we're not just meditating for ourselves, we're meditating to heal the planet. We're meditating to bring about world change and dispelling all world glamour, and to make people better people, make lives better, to end the suffering and end the lack of prosperity of all the little children in the world who go to school with no food, who live a daily life with no good, proper clothing, who live in terrible surroundings with very negative parents and negative circumstances that go on in their life and their schools. All of that changes by us invoking these qualities and going about doing what we're doing. It will make worldwide changes as time goes on. Yeah? So we listen to that. That'll take about 11 to 12 minutes, and then we'll come out of that and we get a little silent. We no longer do the breath for the full 10 seconds. Yeah? And then I'll come back on and I'll teach a little bit more, probably another 15 minutes. I don't know how long I've talked this time. You know, but I obviously will have something to say, and then it'll be the end. And that'll be the end of the meditation for the day. So that's what you have to look forward to. All right, so let's get ready to meditate. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. We're going to start with Om, do it 3 times, and then Om 3 times, silence, and then the invocation, yeah, that we'll do, and you'll repeat after me, and then we'll do the Om meditation for 20 minutes. All right, ready? Take a deep breath. Now repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. To guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now we'll begin the Om. Take a deep breath. 2 minutes. Continue breathing in deep. We'll start the track on Coming Destiny in just a couple minutes or less, probably in about 1 minute. And remember to continue breathing deep, remain focused on what I'm saying, and allow yourself to listen to every word.
Relax yourself. Focus yourself in the soul. Then sound the Om. Breathe it out upon the world of all mankind. And quietly, without sound, express the will of God moves the world. This is a thought you should keep while expressing the Om. Then say slowly and thoughtfully, "The past has gone. I am the past. It makes me what I am. The future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. The present flows from out the past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present, and therefore I am that I am." Sound the Om 3 times softly. Then say quietly, with intent and emotional poise, "I know the law, and towards the goal I strive. Naught shall arrest my progress on the way. Each tiny life within my form responds. My soul has sounded forth that call, and clearer day by day it sounds. The glamour holds me not. The path of light streams clear ahead. My plea goes forth to reach the hearts of all mankind. I seek, I cry to serve your need. Give me your hand and tread the path with me." Focus inward daily. Use the breath and the sacred word. Then do the following intensive visualization exercise. Imagine a path of golden light leading from where you stand to a vast, two-leaved door. Then see, rolling along this path, a disc or a wheel of rose, which you send forth, and which eventually disappears through the door. Then send along the same track a disk of vivid green, and follow it by a disk of golden yellow. Both disappear the same way. Then send a disk or a wheel of a radiant electric blue, which rolls along the golden path, but which does not enter through the door, but remains there, hiding the door from sight. Picture then yourself as standing before the electric blue disk, having traversed the golden path, and there meditating upon the following words: I am the way myself, the door I am. I am the golden path, and in the light of my own light I tread the way. I enter through the door, I turn and radiate. Sound the Om 3 times, breathing it out upon the world from the highest point in your consciousness that seems to you at all possible. As one awakens to their place in the plan of God, and they bring forth dharma unto the world, it is to dissipate all world glamour. Ponder upon the old commentary of thousands of years ago, which is written: They come and stand within the midst of the whirling forms, some of a beauty rare and some of horror and despair. They stand. They look not here or there, but with their faces turned toward the light they stand. Thus through their minds the pure light streams to dissipate the fogs. They come and rest. They cease their outer labors, pausing to do a different work. Within their hearts is rest. They run not here or there, but from a point of peace and rest. That which upon the surface veils and hides the real begins to disappear, and from the heart at rest a beam of dissipating force projects, blends with the shining light, and then the mist of all mankind's creation disappears. They come and they observe. They own the eye of vision. Likewise, they own the eye of right direction, of all empowered forces. They see the glamour of the world, and seeing, they note behind it all the true, the beautiful, and the real. Then through the eye of the Buddha comes the power to drive away the veiling, swirling glamours of that glamorous world. They stand, they rest, they observe. Such are their lives and such the service that they render to the world of mankind. Focus upon the power to stand within the light, leading to right reflection of the light. The power to rest in spiritual being, so as to focus the soul within the chosen field of service. The power to attain right observation, so as to see correctly that which should be done. Your soul energy normally finds expression through the highest quality of mind. Think in the highest form of beingness and allow yourself to rest. Sound the Om as the personality. Do so at the highest mental point, raising your aspiration at the same time with the mind to the soul. Then sound the Om as the soul, breathing it out into the will to love all beings and arresting its descent at the astral body. Do this by an act of will and the use of the creative imagination. Having vitalized the astral body, and imagine the fusion of the soul, the personality, and the astral force. Then direct this triple beam of energy to the heart center, rushing it directly into the heart center, so it might be expressed as the soul. Focus upon this invocation. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad to guide me into the right activity in the plan, to clarify and stimulate my mind, to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions, to energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body, so there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ, to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, we're all back, cameras on. So I hope that was a great meditation for you. It was very powerful. And the teaching that I'm trying to give is simply to help, to bring about change in people who are on this particular meditation that may be working in the ways of, some pagan activity. And hopefully I can help you change your attitude toward what's going on, what you're doing, and help you move toward making a decision, realizing that, the harmfulness that's involved in the process of Ouija and all the other pagan activities. So if everyone can just be aware of that, don't go to mediums, don't go into a process of channeling, whether it be Reiki or whatever. There's all kinds of laying on hands. There's the process of just helping a person through the process of prayer. There's many things that we could do together that have nothing to do with the activity of trying to bring in higher channels and guides, and or trying to open a door to answers. We're not here to find out what's happening in the future. We're not here to read astrology to find out what is your destiny in life. It's just, we need to be a part of the relationship of faith. We need to be a part of the reality of a divine plan that only God knows what it is. I do not know, God knows. And if I don't know, you certainly don't know. And I'm not seeking any way to find, through divination or anything else, a shortcut to this process. When I put the tools out and everything, I put them out specifically because I am in this kind of reality. I am who I am, and the emanation, the transmission, the radiation, the healing force that I can exude, can be passed on into physical matter, into my words. So I know that it will help. I know that it will bring about a shift in the consciousness of you and your family and your loved ones, your workplace, your life in general. So there's no harm, there's no energy that comes in from the astral plane that will disrupt the right relationship that you are taking on the steps to move toward your integration of your soul and toward a better humanity and a working out of the problems that we have in this world. So let's keep it simple. Let's use meditation, let's use the tools, let's listen to the CDs, let's pull out an etheric weaver and help everybody that you can. Turn them on to forms that you have, all the different tools. Let people experience them themselves. It's not about you. It's about what it is that they're going to experience. And when a person sees your solar form, just remember that where it comes from. Remember what radiates through it, what makes them have this reaction. It's not a piece of jewelry. It is made very well, and it looks really awesome, and it carries an enormous amount of energy to it. But where is that energy coming from? Why would this happen, that people are so moved that they have to ask, Help them understand, help them realize that, it comes from an ashram, it comes from a monastery. It comes from a place where Christ designed this tool. Christ was the first and only person who put the design of every single tool into a physical form and taught each one of the monks and nuns how to make them and make them correctly. Trust me, they did not make them correctly in the beginning. They were 80% were thrown away. 80% had to be rewired and wrapped, until they got it right, until everything was right. The magnet has to go in a certain way. It has to be facing a certain direction. A certain type of magnet had to be used. A certain type of wire had to be used. A certain type of metals had to be used in order to bring it together. A certain quality of each geometric form had to meet a standard, and it had to stay at that standard. The plating had to be specific. It had to be highest quality. Every single thing that we do, the powder coating on the pyramids, the gold plating even of a pyramid, we will do that. We will bring things to a standard and a quality and an ability that, few people would ever bring about. But behind it is me. Behind it is me instructing the entire thing. Behind it is me designing this meditation center, this Shambhala, this pyramids of 7 pyramids sitting on a planet in a circle. But they're not. They're actually in a Star of David formation, manifested in the same way the solar form is manifested that you see, that looks like a tetrahedron, or that has circles on each end, that has crystals coming out of it. It has 6 radiating forces that move through it. That's exactly the design that I created in my Shambhala monastery. So everything connects. Everything is connected in a science that works with applying the energy that I'm talking about. How to awaken the soul, how to manifest redemption on the planet, how to change the current and action of this lower pagan reality that is manifested to lower psychicism. And all the glamours and all the processes that come from the law of hate and separation. To me, it is my only purpose in life, other than the fact that, I have seeked out and found Tara, to bring about my ability to bring these things into manifestation. It takes right relationship in the world. It takes right relationship in everything that you do in life to bring about what it is that is the divine plan that comes from God. And God brings about ceremonial order, brings about right relationship. And it's a struggle to move inch by inch, little by little, time by time, circumstance by circumstance, to finally get to the right place, to finally make it the right situation. And when that takes place, it affects so many relationships and allows them to be blessed by your effort to bring about right relationship in yourself. So it's been my quest throughout my entire life to seek out and find Tara, to bring her into the awakened reality of her own recapitulation of all the wonderful things that she's manifested in her life. All that happened before I met her. It's not because of me, it's because of her relationship with the third party. It's her relationship as an initiate, my relationship as an initiate. And through both of our struggles in time and space, we've been able to bring about the ability for us to come together, to meet, to build Shambhala. That's what happened right after we got married, was that we initiated the ability to build Shambhala, to manifest the ability to manifest our monastery. Before that, we were struggling, going to Tibet, manifesting on thrones, being recognized by all these Tibetans and passing through an enormous amount of clutter and confusion and psychicism that was manifested all around us because people claimed my name, claimed her name, claimed our energies all around, and all of these areas were all disrupted by delusions of glamour that was manifested because it's very hard for people to really find and come together magnetically, be attracted to the right place and the right time. When it was time for me to externalize and come out for the very first time, on the very first day, coming out and saying that I'm the Buddha Maitreya, I'm coming out to externalize, and this is what the teachings are. She was there. That was the first day we ever met. And from then on, we've been working through the process of clearing all kinds of things in order to make it to the point to where we were finally in our right relationship, settled down, finally finding and building our monastery, finally settling down and creating a place where it is that we feel right to live, where we, not just in the monastery, but where we choose that we should be living, in the activities that we should be living through, and the life that we want to live. All that we've had to go through and come to and get to a point to where we can harmonize and give each person, each one of us, had something to offer into this process. And I know that working out this little thing, looking like a relationship, looking like just a male and female working out scenarios, is working out the entire human race. Because all there is men and women. All there is male and female. It's as simple as that. It's not governments, it's not kings and queens, it's not ownership, fame and fortune, it's not things that people think are really important. What's really important is self-realization and self-actualization. And that's all we're about. Is her. She furthers me because she believes in me. She knows who I am. She furthers me because she knows and feels a sense of love and right relationship in that. I do exactly the same for her. I have no particular projection as to this is the kind of person you should be, and nor does she toward me. We are simply happy to see the externalization of our true selves and allowing that to take place. And that is unified through our relationship Because in God creates right relationship, and it creates a ceremonial order that allows people to find their place in life. Yeah? And this is on the Buddha field. This is in the area of Buddha. We are in a very auspicious reality. We have very auspicious experiences in our life, and it manifests all down the line into every single kingdom. Yeah? We are the first, and we are of the right relationship to king and relationship to the kingdom of the soul. Yeah? And how that is into manifestation, how it externalizes. Yeah? And externalizes because of love. Yeah? It's all about the law of love. And that's manifested to our being and to our lives. So we know that that is a manifestation that's happening for all of humanity. Something that's happening to us, but we know it couldn't happen to us without the support of all humanity, manifested into the chain reaction, into the kingdom of God, manifesting every single kingdom. So the kingdom of humanity has to come into a right relationship at some point in time, at some degree, in order to bring about the kingdom of the soul. And that's happening. So we're really very enthusiastic about that reality, and that's why we're willing to externalize into our meditations openly, externalize into the reality of doing the darshans and traveling and allowing ourselves to be witnessed, and allow people to really see that we are incarnated. Yeah? And that furthers humanity to move up into the dharma, into the kingdom of the soul, and be a part of that reality. So many people are buying weavers and solar forms and head pyramids like you can't imagine. We are the #1 people on the planet that are selling pyramids. We are the only people on the planet who sell etheric weavers and put out vajras and all the things that we put out. And all of these things are in the future of humanity, and yet they're being done right now. So the kingdom of the soul is at hand. The kingdom of the soul is happening today. And we are sitting in the process of witnessing. It's our daily activity of experiencing all the blessings that are happening with every person that has these experiences of taking these tools and bringing them into their lives, and watch their husband and their wife and their family and all their loved ones and their workplace and everything change almost overnight. And how every single thing is a part of our living experience of life. Yeah? So I want everybody to know that we are in our state of incarnation. You are in your state of incarnation. We are all catching up into this divine grace that's manifesting into the world. Yeah? And I know that in the future we'll all have these electric cars. I know that in the future we will all have robotic electric cars. Yeah? And in the future, we will have situations to where we will be able to live much less expensive. Our housing, everything will be much less expensive. Yeah? Our lifestyle will be much less expensive. We won't be going to football games and basketball games and running around and doing the crap that we need to do. We will be doing things that we really need to do. And we will be furthering things on a collective order that will create fellowship and friendship, yeah? And it will allow us to love each other and see each other in a divine way without being religiously fanatical, without having that solar plex dominating what it is we're doing in life when we deal with spirituality and religion. We will have our heart, and our solar plex will be coming up into our heart, yeah? So we see divinity in other people in our own daily life, because we're all having a great time and we're loving each other, yeah? And we're feeling free. Yeah, no one's putting us down. Nothing is taking away energy, keeping us from evolving. That we're actually getting back the energy that we put out threefold, yeah? So everything that you do, every good thing that you do in life comes back to you, yeah? And I know that that's in a state of manifestation. It's part of the miracle of God, yeah? So offer people the use of the etheric weaver. Take your solar form off and put it on somebody when they say they really appreciate the look of it, how it feels, and they're so interested they can't stop looking at it. Take it off. Let them wear it. It's not going to cause any illness to you or put any kind of negative energy in the solar form. Every single thing I put out cannot take on negative energy. Yeah? It's not like anything else that's out there. A lot of people say, oh, don't pass your crystal, don't, pass on your divine little objects, Don't worry about that with my stuff. Yeah? Everything that I do is made through me. Yeah? And I will protect you in the influence of my faith and my understanding, all the courage and all the strength that manifests through love will come through these tools. And it will generate, a place of divinity and transmute anything of negativity immediately. So the only thing you're going to get is a blessing. Yeah? Your tool will stay the same. Everything will remain clean and clear. And also, remember, when you get solar forms, when you get tools and they're silver or something like that, keep them clean. Yeah? Use a cleaning product. Use something to clean them up. Make sure that they're nice and shiny and looking good, yeah? Because elemental processes go on that make them dark and black, and really changes the quality of their energy. So it's important that you keep your car clean, you keep your house clean, you keep yourself clean, you keep your tools clean, yeah? So focus on that, keep that energy straight, and allow people, share with people everything you've got, yeah? And don't worry about, that it's going to take on their negativity and it won't give you the blessings that you would be getting. Yeah? Share with them the CD that you have. Let them listen to it for a day. See how they like it. Make it easy for them to come across the tools. Ask Shambhala, any of the nuns that you talk to on the phone, which will call you all the time, or you can call them easily. We do not have answering devices and shit like that. We have people who are there to serve you. We're not calling you in order to sell you something. We're calling you to see how you're doing, to see whether or not you're using the forms correctly, to remind you to use your etheric weaver, to help you share these things with other people, yeah? To invite you to meditation, to let you know about other tools that are available, but not just to sell to you, but to help you, yeah? To bring you more into the reality of what's going on. Yeah, because a lot of people just leave it to the wayside and think of it very little and don't put too much energy into it. Yeah, so all the monks and nuns are there for you. Yeah, call them, find out any information. If you have any questions whatsoever, call them. Yeah, email them. Go online. There's a chat line right there online. You can talk to them. Walk through anything on the tools. You can ask them questions about anything of any matter. Yeah. And if there's something that they can't answer, something that they don't really understand the real answer to, they send me an email or Tara an email, and we look at it, and I will definitely give back an answer, yeah? So we're not out of touch. We're not in a situation to where we don't care once a tool goes out. We want to help people and educate people and keep them moving in the direction that it takes for them to become a part of the planetary ashram. Yeah? You're not joining a religion, you're just awakening to the third party. Yeah? And you need to give credit to the enormous work that goes on in the process of God's creation. Yeah? It's not something in the background that just happens and you just say, oh, well, that, God is like that, God is really working actively to change things and make things happen. And if you become more aware of that and actively a part of it, you're in a state of co-creation. So that's my last spill of this meditation, yeah? My last bit of the talk. So just to open up and share with you, your options, your opportunities, and the things that we have to offer. Come to Shambhala. Yeah, it's there for you. We built it for you. Yeah, if we get more people to come and who are interested, then we'll be able to have the money to increase the amount of space for people to come to. Yeah, right now we have domes that are completely empty and we haven't built the rooms because we simply do not have the support and financing to do so. We're at a certain point to where we're maintaining everybody and we're getting all the tools out and everything, but we have a clinic where you can do brain state, yeah, which allows you to sit in a state where you're in a chair, we hook you up with your head, we do a mapping of your brain, And that goes into a computer, and software is developed by the best of all developments in relationship to biofeedback. And it's called brain state technology. Yeah, we offer that. And we don't have just one room, we have many rooms so that we can take care of many people who are interested in that. We have an advancement by Copen Labs and other technological advancements out of Germany that uses radionics and healing technology that applies the Tansley technique, the Copen technique, the 7 rays technique, acupuncture, and many other forms of healing into these devices that allows us to do advanced soul therapy, a healing technique that allows us to take a person's name, and put it directly into these, and we then run it through the system, and we can have it then transmit out, at a distance, and help you in ways that you would never imagine. Help people who are very sick, help people who have emotional problems, help people who need to stabilize, and the effect of it is enormous. Yeah, we have other processes, thermology. We have the ability to, to allow you to come, and we have a thermal camera that will scan your entire body and allows us to then take that information and send it to a doctor who then looks at it and says, this is the situation, this is this, this is that. You could take that then to your doctor and help you come in greater understanding of what it is that's going on in your body. Yeah? We have all these different technologies, all these different advancements that are here for you at the clinic. Yeah? So take advantage of these things. Come to the clinic or give us a call. We can do the advanced soul therapy. We can do many different types. Come and do brain state technology. We even have it in England to where you can go there and have it done. So right there at the Dharma Center, at the Buddha Maitreya Dharma Center. Yeah, so take advantage of these things, or come to Shambhala and go to a meditation. Yeah, where you can sit in the big pyramid every day. The monks and nuns meditate for an hour. Yeah, and they do the exact same meditation that I did today. They all sit there in meditation inside this enormous pyramid with 6 pyramids sitting around it. The place is incredible. You can see it behind me. Yeah, you have the opportunity to come there. Yeah, and I recommend it. It's 360 acres. All the land is ours, and all of it is impressed with beauty and nature and animals. We have animals all over the place. We have yaks, and we have llamas, and we have all chickens and everything. Cows, we got it all. So it's quite a wonderful place to come to as a retreat for meditation, to do brain state, to do many different things. Yeah, so take advantage of this. Yeah, it's not just taking the tools or sitting here with meditation. We provide an enormous science, an enormous meditation center, an enormous availability in all these sciences that are not available anywhere else, not in this way. Yeah, so they're here for you. They're here for all of humanity. So if you know of anybody who needs such a thing, let them know. If you need a card, call us up, we'll send a card. We'll send many cards to you so you can pass them around. We have brochures and everything. So just take advantage and help people become aware of this so we can really do the job that we're meant to do. All we want to do is help. All we want to do is serve. We do not want to be rich corporations or something like that. Everything that we do, that we receive money on, we turn that money around and we provide it to food banks, we provide it to different situations and circumstances. In Tibet, we have clinics in Tibet that we run that are free clinics for Nepali people, 3 of them, really big ones, and include meditation centers. All these things are provided by us through the work that we do and the money that we receive through the selling of the tools or anything else that we do. So we're not out to do anything that has to do with negative glamour, processes. We're here, the more that we receive, the more that we will do. So be a part of this. Come out and be a part of Shambhala. Experience and witness what is going on and tell others. So enjoy. Thank all of you very much for for taking the time to do this meditation with me, and we'll be doing it again. I'm not sure when. I know that we go to Glastonbury in about 3 weeks, and we'll be doing the meditation from there, and that will be very inspiring. And we also do a darshan that we're doing for a full day long. It's about an 8-hour darshan that I give teachings like this for a full 8 hours. I don't stop. We just stop for a break and for eat, but it goes on and on and on. So you have the opportunity to be a part of that if you want to. And then we'll do a meditation while we're in Hungary. We're going to be there in Budapest. And we're doing a meditation from there as we're traveling around the world. So be involved, be aware, give a call to Shambhala and find out the schedule and, see where you can be involved. Thank you very much for joining in on this meditation. God bless all of you.